that we tend to make up is nothing but a fantasy until you wake up. I feel like I'm just lying to myself. Yeah.
What is up? Back here with a video where I share my thoughts, opinions on someone or something going on in this wacky, weird wrestling world. As you can tell by the title below, this one will be a video where I share my thoughts and opinions on probably a future WWE Hall of Famer. That could be a different video for a different day. The very first ever AEW World Heavyweight Champion in Chris Jericho. We'd love to know your thoughts and opinions are on him down in the comments below. Reason why I'm talking about him now, he's been kind of sort of somewhat in the wrestling news. Apparently, according to people more in the know than I am, which is a good chunk of people, apparently his contract is up by the end of the year. When? I don't know. I don't remember hearing or seeing that. And it's rumored that he might go back to WWE, hence why this video. And I'm talking about him the wrestler, not him the human. I don't know him the human. I've seen him wrestle a couple of times, I think. For sure once back in 2009 and maybe a couple of times after that. But when it comes to Chris Jericho, for the sake of this video, I'm going to talk about him the wrestler. I know that, I just want to say that I know that he's really good in the ring. I know that he's really good on the mic. Without him, who knows in some way, shape, or form how wrestling would be. Whether it's something when I say relatively small, like he's not your, especially back in the 90s, not your stereotypical wrestler, 6'6", 350 pounds of muscle kind of deal. Again, I never met him. I was never close enough to him to see how tall he legitimately was, but would not surprise me if he's 6 foot, maybe a little bit taller, kind of deal, like a athletic enough build throughout WCW to nowadays, all things considering. But when it comes to Chris Jericho, his impact, he could have, I don't know for sure, but could have inspired the smaller wrestlers, hypothetically smaller humans, to go into the wrestling. When I say smaller humans, I mean like average size humans day to day, but smaller in the wrestling world. He could have inspired them when it comes to US and Canada. I don't know for sure. I don't remember hearing anybody. I probably heard people say that they were inspired by Chris Jericho, but nobody off the top of my head. But like, I understand that. I know that, or when I say I know, I'm 99% sure that without him, AEW would not have a TV deal, because he, again, former WWE guy, main evented WrestleMania, multiple time world heavyweight champion for WWE. By the time late 2018 rolls around, you could argue early 2019, not everybody knew of a Cody Rhodes. When it comes to like the casual audience at that time, WWE wise, if they did, might have not taken him seriously. Again, this is like 2018, not 2025. They would have, I doubt, would have heard of Omega and the Young Bucks. So without him, who knows where AEW would be nowadays, TV deal wise. Whether that's good or bad 6 years after the fact, I don't know. You have to ask somebody who watches week to week. But when it comes to Chris Jericho, to me, despite talking about that for like a couple of minutes, I do not find him entertaining. Again, I know that he's good in the ring. I know that he's good on the mic, can definitely have that character development, if that's the right word. Like, he's not a one-trick pony that some other people might be, who are just good in the ring or just good on the microphone or just character work. To me, it's one of those things where the only feud from 2004, when I personally started watching, up until 2025, that I was all the way invested, was the Shawn Michaels feud that he had, the 2008 version of it. I know that he had a feud in 2003 with them, but I wasn't a fan for it. But when it comes to Jericho, that was the only feud I was even halfway interested in the last 20 years, over 20 years. But when it comes to him, he's one of those guys that, despite me not being the biggest fan, supporter, mark, whatever terminology, if somebody said that Chris Jericho's their guy because of XYZ reasoning, I can also understand that. He's just not one of the guys that within AEW, I do not watch week to week. I've said that before. I don't know for sure if I will anytime soon, and that's because of life. But he isn't, like, there's like it. So how I consume AEW, I know that he hasn't been on, that I've seen over the last couple of months for whatever reason. But from what I've seen, he hasn't been on, which I've definitely enjoyed watching clips on YouTube, which is how I take it in. AEW posts like clips and whatnot. Chris Jericho would be like the last person I would click on, kind of deal, for whenever he was on Dynamite or Collision. I don't actually, yeah, I have watched the odd clip for like the pay-per-views, but when it comes to Jericho, he's one of those guys that I just don't really find interesting. Or when I say interesting, I really mean entertaining. And whenever I watch something wrestling or non-wrestling related, I would want it either be entertaining, edutainment, like educational somehow, more so for content on here, and like educational and entertainment, or dumb funny, like the Festival of Friendship, the thing with Kevin Owens. That was a kind of dumb funny, but I think everybody's seen one of them turning on the other, which cool moment. Cool that Jimmy Jacobs in a way got a figure out of that. In a way, if you know, you know. But yeah, for myself, he's just not one of my guys. Again, if he's one of your guys, I can to a certain extent understand, a kind of deal. But those are my thoughts and opinions. Would love to know what yours are on him down in the comments below. It would mean a lot to myself if you did. Treat yourself as well as possible, mentally, emotionally, and physically, because you deserve the absolute best without a shadow of a doubt.
And in the world that we tend to make up, it's nothing but a fantasy until you wake up. I feel like I'm just lying to myself, yeah. Cause I just crossed the line like I'm playing offside. I do it how I want and I'ma do it till I die. I feel like I'm just lying to myself, but